you very much. Well, first of all, I'd like to begin a call the meeting to order. Um, and before we open it up to owners' comments, I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank, as this is the last meeting of the current master planning group, I wanted to give a big thank you to everybody who has been on the board or the group for the last year. I know many of you have resubmitted to be on. I'm getting terrible feedback, Lauren. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but I just want to thank everybody. I know there's a few who will be departing us who did not resubmit an application. And hopefully those of you who did submit an application are approved by the board to continue. But I just want to do a huge thank you to all of you, and especially those who were departed. So with that, we'll now open it up. And I also, we're going to apologize. I am in the hinterlands in a remote area of Arizona. I'm a passenger in a car. So I've got, Jim is going to take over when and if I lose cell service, which could be any minute now. But let's open up to owners' comments, please.
There, don't have anyone in the room. So you're good. No residents.
Perfect. Okay. So we've got 3+1 discussion items. We've got the town hall update. We'll talk about multi-purpose courts, topic you want to discuss on resident only Facebook group. And then I asked Jim to also give us an unofficial finance update as to where we stand with funding of the reserve account. Are there any questions or comments before we begin?
You're good, Joe.
Excellent. Thank you.
We don't have to approve the agenda.
I'm sorry?
No.
No, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so if town hall update, maybe Lauren or Mark can just kind of give us an update where we are.
It looks pretty. I'll leave that up to Lauren and Jacob as he's on here too.
Yeah, so town hall's going really well. Collected an initial punch list for DeAngelis. It was just sent today. Jacob, I, and a member of our maintenance leadership will be doing a punch list walk next week to provide to DeAngelis. The current scheduled date for CO is April 28th. And then furniture comes in mid-May. And our goal is to be open and functional for the board workshop in June.
Oh, really?
That's our goal right now.
So it's still an option.
It's an option.
It's a possibility.
It's not going to be, it might not be pretty, but the goal is to be functional.
That's great.
What day are you thinking about doing your punch list?
Wednesday for our punch list walk next week?
Tentatively Monday, but we may be delaying. I think we'll be delaying that.
So when we have a scheduled date, Mark will include it.
Let me know because I'm nicely picky. So
That's
I'll bring some haters too.
I will like to comment too, because we did a hard hack tour last week through K51. And I was very impressed with the progress and with the changes that are being made. Especially some of the different rooms and things like that. So it's going to be very aggressive, I believe, and I think the residents are going to be very happy.
Yeah, we've reduced the staff space and provided a lot more functional space for residents and committees and community groups.
Yeah.
Paying a lot of now. They've been doing tape marks starting last Thursday. So a lot of the walls and everything will be set by our punch list.
Yeah.
is it furniture mid-May or?
It starts to arrive, I think, May 18th through the end of May. About a 2-week install.
So you'll be able to bring it right to town hall, right?
Pardon?
You'll be able to put it right in town hall. You
The furniture? Yeah, they're installing some. They deliver and install.
So the plan is to request the board that we close formally for 2 days for the staff for moving all the equipment in. Our goal is to use as much of the existing IT equipment that we rely on now in town hall which would require a full shutdown. Plus, it's a lot less stressful on the team to try to
Yeah,
be
no,
functional and ambulance at the same time.
no, and this will be the last time. You guys had to do this.
Any other, Joe, you have any other comments you want to hear?
And then the only other comment I want to make, it seems like I'm always making this comment. While there are many, many people working on this project, I'd like to thank Mark for initially identifying D&D as a potential vendor to do this project. And I'm not sure, I have not seen where exactly we are in the financials, but just the ability of the subcontractor to deliver on schedule or ahead of schedule with quality work is, so far looking very good. So again, thanks, Mark, for what you did in helping this process early on. Okay.
Sure.
Next, again, it's hard because I'm looking at my phone. Katie, I know you're there. So I just wanted to also welcome, are you the only board member there?
Yes,
Okay, so I'd like to welcome you, and I think it was Charles is the other member.
Eric,
Oh, sorry, Eric, Eric. So I'd like to welcome officially Eric and Katie as our new board liaisons. Katie has been very supportive of us behind the scenes when Jared was on the board. So we're excited to have Katie officially have a seat at the table. So welcome to Katie. Okay, next topic is multi-purpose courts update. I want to let Jim take over from a financial perspective in a minute. But before that, I'd like to say that Lauren had updated several of us that the plans have been submitted to the county for civil permitting, which is the first step of getting permitting approvals. That doesn't mean we've decided to do the project, doesn't mean we have funding. It's just if we look at the project plan, that's one of the, after having the plans done, is to submit, and the civil, as Mark can tell us, is the longest lead time. And so that's underway. The second to do, we discussed at the last meeting, was assisting Town Hall, Gray Manor's, the new name, in helping write the RFP. I have the documents. I've laid out an outline of what that RFP would look like. And I know Jim has volunteered, as did Mark at the last meeting. And what I'll do is in the next several weeks, I'll send out a note to the two of you. Plus, if anybody else would like to help, that's assuming the two of you and myself are reelected, that will meet to start to complete the first draft of the sports courts RFP. So given the lack of funding at the moment, there wasn't quite the urgency that we had. But in either case, we'll have the RFP done, and then we'll decide based upon funding when we put it out. But the other request I have from Mark, and I know Alec, is Alec joined us or not yet?
not yet.
Well, so Jacob, Lauren, Mark, to start identifying vendors, and I know our architectural firm will do the same, but we should target to have 10 to 15 vendors ready and pre-qualified, so that when the RFP is completed and when we have further discussion on funding, we can then be able to proceed with the next step of this process.
Yeah, JVB has identified 2 vendors, and KPMF has identified 1 vendor that they'll be recommending. And we just got the final plan set from JVB that we'll push out to the committee as well for writing RFP. Just so this committee is aware as well, the tech committee is going to be engaged on locations of cameras and key card readers and things like that. So we can get that added into the scope as part of the project.
Excellent, thank you. And so, Mark, it sounds like we'll get to ask you to identify a couple firms also, because we need to have a more robust list. And
Yeah.
Jacob and Lauren, same from you.
Yeah, in many ways, I trust JVB's opinion. I'd throw DeAngelis in there anyway.
Yep.
Do not their pricing has a little bit high, but we'll see what they do with it. I have one other person that would know better than I. Yeah, I do hospitals, I don't do pickleball courts. So I had one other person to ask who they might think that's involved with creating residential developments that I can ask. But otherwise, I trust the consultants in the space.
Okay, excellent. So Lauren, can I ask you then to ask JVB to come up with a few more? Because, you know, two is good, but to see if they can have some additional recommendations, that would be helpful.
Yeah, certainly.
Thank you. Thanks. Great. Hey, Jim, first of all, any more questions on the multi-purpose courts? We're going to talk about funding now, but before we do that, any other questions? Okay. For those of you who are not aware, I believe it was Lauren / the board put out an informational packet on the sports courts, which was consistent with the presentation that I gave to the Kroll board back in January on the number of the different sports that will be there, the total number of courts, and and kind of a layout and everything else, because there still continues to be some misinformation by a few people who like to make a lot of noise on social media, not understanding the scope and reach and the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish with these sports courts. So if you haven't seen it, you can check with Lauren and she'll give you the link as to where it is, because it was a very well written, good document that's out there.
So just so you know, I've had a number of residents in Island Village give a very positive statement on that. So people that play pickleball and things like that, they're just very excited to have some additional sport courts.
Sports courts, yep. And again, we thank Mark because it's sports courts. There are more non-pickleball courts than there are pickleball courts. And so it's wide range of ages, wide range of sports. And so we're just very, very excited. Okay, with that though, we're not that excited because we don't quite have right now available funds to proceed with the project, but I'm optimistic we will. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim to talk where we are with funding.
Yeah, Joe, we're gonna pull up a recent forecast now, and just so everybody knows, we still haven't got the March financials yet with the Finance Committee. But Ray had given some estimates of what the fund balances were at the end of March. So I use those to estimate what happened so far. And I'll update this as soon as I get the actual numbers to see. But if you see from at least people here, the capital fund, we're sitting at 1,962,000 at the end of March. It looks like we only spent probably $515,000 on 851. Because I know Ray was supposed to move over 159,000 of the capital fees. So that means we still have a lot more to pay for 851 over the next couple of months. Reserve funding, just for everybody knows, we're at $686,000, and that's primarily because of all the furniture and the vehicles that were spent early this year. So we'll keep monitoring that, but it shouldn't get too bad. If you can go to the 2006, you go down to the capital, because that's really. So as you can see.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, I'm so sorry. I just have a question. So the vehicles was 208,000, and that's coming out of the which fund?
Reserve. It came out of the reserve.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
As is the furniture for 851.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, I'm just, thank you.
So again, we still have a lot of money, my forecast for the capital fund, you can see by the end of May, we may be down to about $400,000. If we pay everything on 851 between April and May. If it spreads out to June, then it'll be a little bit higher. But we'll also be starting to pay, I believe, for the heated pool in the village.
Yeah, so we had a call with Tanner last week and he had mentioned that they had already made a payout for the pool heaters, but they did not invoice Croa yet. So we should see an invoice.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, so I've got this in the forecast spread over 3 months, April, May, and June. So we'll see how that works out, but other than that, as long as the board doesn't approve other capital projects, other than what we're doing, I think by the end of the year we'll be okay. As an indication, so far, this year, through mid-April, we've affirmed 484,000 in capital fees. So we're pretty much right on track with our $1.5 million forecast that we had put into it. It's all a question of how much the operating fund can do. Otherwise, the 800,000 that the operating fund currently owes capital. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about a payment plan for the rest of the year. Not necessarily pay the whole thing back, but we'll see what we can do, especially as we get into the fourth quarter, things get tight for the operating fund, that's going to have to change, but we can be flexible with that. But the more we can get in, obviously, the better we'll be. And I still think we can do some work with the sport courts in the fourth quarter this year, if things keep going. I will say April home sales are a little bit lower than anything, but January, February, March, we were way above last year, primarily because of Ivan Village Phase 2. That's also raised the average price as well. So from that standpoint, and the realtors I talked to are all still very positive. Just met with Equitable Title today because there's a number of homes that Osceola County hasn't recognized yet and that have sold. And they recognize some of them and I contacted some other title companies to get in there. So that way they'll show up on Lauren's your conveyance.
My conveyance tracking sheet.
Yeah, conveyance tracking sheet as well. So things are looking good. I think we're going to be okay. And it's just going to get tight here in the next few months with 851 finishing. But once that's finished, we can all just celebrate. So that's it, Joe. Any questions?
Thanks. Yeah, hi. First of all, thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Thanks again for all the time you spend doing this along with the other members of the finance group, along with Lauren's team. So again, Katie, I'll say it just so I understand how we have to balance, shortfalls in the operating with taking money, out of the capital account. And I understand that. But as you all put together a budget, the next budget, it hopefully is self-sustaining, either by reducing costs, raising our fees, doing whatever, so that the money that, so that we can continue to invest in our community in long-term projects. So I understand, somebody may be delinquent, whatever, Delabari, whoever the guys were delinquent. I understand we're gonna have short-term issues, but just, we need to try to be consistent with what we told the community when we put it out to a community vote. Would you like to raise, the fees for new home sales to 0.5%? That we would take that money and put it in long-term strategic projects. So I think that's vital for the health of the community that we do that. Understanding any given month or quarter, we may have to do something different, but long-term, we've got to stay strategic if we want to keep home values up in our community. That's my personal view. But anyway, okay. Questions on finances or anything else from the team?
Can you pull up that slide? Was it projections through the end of the year or just through June?
All the way through.
Curious what that current figure looks like.
So if you go, a lot of this is gonna depend on the payback type of stuff from the operating fund, because I have some of that included as assumptions. But you can see, well, even spending money, on the multi-purpose sport courts.
Which is how much, which one is that?
Hmm?
Which one is that for your December?
The 200,000,
So you have 600,000,
yeah,
676,
676,000.
with another million.
Which again, we could still be close to $1 million in the capital fund.
So that,
Again,
hypothetically, then projections about 1.6 at the end of the year. As far as if nothing was spent yet, so that would be kind of earmarked of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, then it depends on, is it a $1 million multi-purpose court or 2 million, depending on what those numbers come back in. Then how does that fit into about $1.5 million that we'll have at the end of the year?
At the end of this year,
We can time it so it spans,
2 or 3, 2 years. Right.
into the next quarter a little bit. Obviously, this won't take too long to build, but we're already in April, so. This fall is gonna be here pretty quick, so some of that spending that you have earlier on, so you have it already broken out in there. Correct? The spending.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because potentially that would push out.
Yeah.
So,
But I just put it in there to show that we could do something.
yeah, and it's still have a lot left. Yeah,
No,
correct.
it's very
Okay.
clear, Jim. So, I mean, clearly, when the project starts and when we have responses back from the RFP, we'll know the length of it. That may dictate, and we'll have a better idea to funding. So then we'll have a better idea as to whether or not this project starts in October, November, December, or first quarter of next year. And the only other thing I would point out, Andrew, is I can't hear whoever's speaking.
That's some girls using the restroom.
You're good.
You're good now.
Okay. That the scope as the estimate that JVB did and Mark had validated is this project, because we added in additional scope and because the project could be starting 2 years later than when we initially looked at it, or a year later. The cost is probably, Mark, you can pick a number, but 1.6 to $2 million plus. So, but we'll see. We won't know until we put it out
Well,
to
no,
bid.
until we know. Yeah.
We won't know
That's
until we
the nice
know.
part is you're getting close to that, so.
Yeah, but it's not a
that's the good
million.
part.
It's not going to be $1 million. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We won't know. And then if it comes back and it's
Not the
some,
million.
unaffordable number, then we'll revisit it. But again, we won't know until we get it out in the marketplace and get some competitive bids out there.
And then Kate, the board, it would be, if this is truly priority, then I think outside of main village playground, there really shouldn't be any other capital expenses outside of the young village pool. So that's where priorities from the board would need to be. This is what you guys want to do for the community. We're gonna hold back on other capital spending so that we can build up that reserve to pay for this project.
I think that's well said. That in the next couple of months, this group, or whoever is part of this group, needs to clearly state, listen, we've looked at everything, and consistent with our current view and consistent with the strategic plan, this is, our next priority. And yes, there's other projects, there's other things, but this is what we think is a priority. And if we don't, as it is, it's still probably 18 months out, from, the ribbon cutting in the best case, most likely. So, okay. Other questions or comments? All right. Again, thanks, Jim. Joanna, I'm not quite sure what this topic is about, but please give us an update.
Yep. So can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So I sort of want to put this on the agenda just to kind of get this topic just out there for us to discuss. Just sort of around kind of what Joe was talking about, the multi-purpose courts. There is, although Lauren sent out that email, there is that, that social media chatter that it's all pickleball courts, right? So I just wanted to put it out there to see what everybody thought about, getting a CROA only sort of Facebook group kind of thing where only residents can be a part of. I know, like me, for example, like I'm blocked from the back porch, so like I can't even access, like me personally, I can't even access the back porch. I know me personally, like some residents have me blocked, so like I can't even see some of their comments that they post. So there's a lot of communication that like I'm as a committee member, that like I'm not visible to. And so, and I know like a couple months ago, we kind of came through the consensus that opinions matter when you show up to our meetings. But there's still kind of, all that chatter, all that negativity and all that narrative that certain things are happening. And, I just kind of wanted to get everybody's idea about a Facebook group, resident exclusive, something. Yeah.
Well, as Jared always reminded me, we have to stay in our lane. Our lane is work with the board of directors, get their support. I follow social media because I shouldn't, but I do. It's a very small group of people, very small group of people. And Lauren has to put up with this every day, who make a lot of noise on social media. The majority of the residents are support. Put the splash pad out. There's 2 people who complain about it, and everybody else is enjoying it. And we surveyed the town. We did all sorts of work. We did workshops, and we got priorities. And people are, for the most part, very supportive. But as far as the people who are complaining, I'll let Lauren, that's her job. She can deal with the people who are complaining. But I don't think any of us, I think we keep doing what we're doing. And the board of directors, and if they think anything we're doing, they don't agree with our priorities, they can let us know and do something different. But so far, the board has been very supportive, and that's who have been elected by the town and get reelected. And we have new members, and the residents have spoken. They put their faith in the board, and the board has put their faith, or will put their faith in our new group. So we're, quote, duly elected, us by surrogate. And I just think we keep pressing forward, and I'll open it up to the group for comments, but that's my thoughts.
As one of the people that certainly does have access to back porch, I think Jamie and I both have run into the exact same individual, and I hope they even see this. It's the same person actually complaining about the splash pad, at least in one case, that's also complaining about the boards. It seems to have an agenda about something else. So the people that are doing the complaining are very few. The hard part comes when other people read it and think that that's reality. And that's the whole problem with, obviously, the internet is, oh my God, really? Well, no, that's that person's extremely biased view, and it's something that it's not. So I'm not sure there's a way to combat it very easily. I agree with Joanna. I don't have any problem with bringing something else that is more open. But sure.
Okay, so also communications liaison.
Okay.
One of the things with this similar conversations have been had inside the committee, not necessarily like the resident Facebook page, but more of like town halls page, putting out more like educational type information for residents. So that way, you know, because technically more residents, they go where they're being fed. And right now it's the back porch. And even if we had like a new Facebook page, the back porch would still exist with misinformation. But if town hall, you know, has more information, and I feel like their posts have definitely, you know, increased with information to residents and engaging residents more. Like if that's the goal, hopefully, like that's where people will start seeing the correct information. And then my hope would be for residents, when something is posted on the back porch that's incorrect, for them to take a screenshot of the town hall post and just post it right underneath the incorrect information, like for the, like that would be the ultimate goal going down the road. So I think it's probably something that will continue to be discussed in communications, because I feel like that's something that, like, you're not the first person, I feel like, that has kind of like brought this up. It's something that's been kind of like discussed several different ways, and I think it's just kind of hard to figure out the right way, but it's definitely, I feel like, a concern with a lot of people.
I agree with that. Obviously, the emails are well done and explain this stuff. Clearly did a great job with that, but if that was a post, it's hard to refute that at some point. So I agree with your comments. So that's definitely an avenue.
Yeah, I guess my comment would be that I think it's a good idea, but I think it needs to be in the communications committee, not the master planning committee.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think this is it's a good idea to bring up. That's something that the communication group should take forward. And then I think the one concern overall would be, if you do have a resident only forum, are you looking for Grand Manners to be the police of it? And what are the requirements of, is it entirely free speech, or is there, you know, a certain code of conduct and things of that nature, and how's that decided, and all kinds of other stuff? So there's a lot of things that go into it where, yes, back porch and front porch might not be perfect, but how can maybe we have town hall engage with that, or others, to make sure that it's accurate, rather than trying to uplift an entire community onto another channel.
Yeah, I'm not on back porch or front porch. But, you know, that's because of it. I did join the uncensored front porch. But, you know, social media, I think, as you all know, you're always gonna get people that are gonna complain and be somewhat nasty about things. You know, it's a communications thing, I believe. So when somebody brings something up that says this doesn't sound right or whatever, they're just trashing committees or trashing the Grand Manners or trashing pro board, whatever, there should be a communication out by somebody to say, be quiet or something.
Question, Lauren, for, with our accounts, is there any preferred method of communication, whether it's phone or email, text, anything of that nature, tied into our profiles?
You have a preferred email, like a primary email tagged to your account. You can have subsequent emails tagged to your account. There is, you can opt in to text messages on your cell phone. But other than providing those communication pieces, that's it. Most people, we don't really communicate via Syrinet out to the community as a whole. We utilize Monday Matters, Friday Flash, the GoGov push notifications, and the town hall Facebook page to push information out.
Yeah, because I think those are great channels that I read every week and get information from, and I'd be curious how much of the community is getting that or even knows about it.
Well, you have 17,000 followers on the Crow Town Hall Facebook page.
Right, and out of that 17,000, how many people are reading, how many people are getting those emails, Monday Matters, Friday Flash? Of that
There's
17,000.
over 4,000 in the listservs right now, from the last time I saw the number,
Yeah, so
which is right around the number of doors you have.
So let me just make some comments here. First of all, Joanna, I think it's a very legitimate concern. I didn't mean to downplay it. I get frustrated when I see it out there. I just know for this group, we just can't let it get us too sidetracked. But team, I think there's one thing I've seen Mark do it, and I've seen Katie do it, and I'm sure there are many others doing it. And Charles does it. When somebody puts out something that's not right, they comment and clarify it. So, as and I'm not saying that should be our job, but as people see things that aren't correct, clarify it. And sometimes that keeps them quiet, and other times it just, the person now got what they wanted, which is an audience to debate online. But educating people, I think it should be logged, Lauren, that the master planning group, is concerned about misinformation. We applaud what you're doing, but would ask the communications group to see what other activities can town be doing, not only for, splash pad or sports courts, but for, people complain about the plant dying, the streets not being cleaned, the street blowers making too much noise. It goes on and on and on. So just to properly and over communicate to as many channels, that's our request, for at least our projects. And I think as a group, that's probably all we can do at this point.
Well, I think too, if this committee or any other committee in the board see like a consistent, misinformation campaign on one of those pages, we can craft a message kind of correcting that information, like not specifically addressing the post, but we can send out communication from town hall like we did with the multipurpose court saying, here's what's happening, here's what's going on, here's all the info.
Yeah, that was perfect. And that was out of control. And that was one individual just being a
It's fun.
fun person. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only
it's
thing,
fun, you know.
the only other thing I would mention is, as we get further along with the sports courts, that very, very small but vocal minority, we should anticipate that they will make some more noise, and so, we're just not right now, but as we get further into this, we probably just need to think through, okay, what is it we're going to do? Besides continue to ask the board for support and to continue to communicate. I'm not sure what else we can do, but we should anticipate that this issue won't go away, as we go to get approval from the board of directors for this project. When that meeting takes place in, May, June, July, August, September for final approval, that's when my guess is, this topic will be even more pertinent.
Which to that point, I don't think there's anything negative about the multi-purpose courts going forward, but continue to just have that overly transparency so that everyone knows what steps are being taken by who, whether it's the board or committees, so that that's communicated out there, and that's the best we can do as we bring along the journey.
Just remember, it's the natural nature of a community.
I think, also another board member said to me, like, when we were discussing this, that you can't just listen to a couple of people, on social media and then ignore the hundreds of people that filled out that survey. And, and provided the input, because we have data showing that this is what, the community decided on, and so it's like, I think we also need to remind residents that like, this isn't just like one committee's decision or the board's decision. This is Celebration's decision that, that like tons of reports and surveys and everything have gone into like coming up with this plan. So I think that also has to be like maybe reminded as well.
Well, it was a long thought out plan too. That was like even years worth of work to even come to that conclusion.
And people may
brought
not
up
know.
prior to that, in previous,
Right, that's all part of it.
it's been something important the entire time before we even start ours. So it's obviously something that's been designed, period. And boy, have we actually improved it. So now it has basketball that is really missing. That we just simply don't have anything, and that's a large complaint. So to Joe's comment earlier, this really is something that covers more ages. It actually does. So it's not just football. We cover basketball, other things that did not have a place to go, and lodging and whatever. So we're solving a lot of things all at once. That's way better than just building pickleball courts. And the other simple point is we have the number of pickleball courts that most places have as a community. Happen to match that number. Having studied that when you're talking about the status versions.
I think a comprehensive review of the
Mhm.
2024 master plan presentation would
Yeah.
be probably beneficial for the first SAT meeting of the reset committee.
Okay.
That way, just to continue, so we remember
Mhm.
where the main purpose of master plan came from, and you don't lose track of that. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes newly set committees come with a lot of new, fresh ideas.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that would be good to add that to the
Yep.
agenda.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Joanna, for bringing up this topic. It's not on the agenda, but Lauren, so the applications for the master planning group were due today. And so the board will review those applications and new members will be notified. Do we know what date that is by?
So the board will make their decision on April 22nd, and I will email all applicants, whether you were appointed to a committee or not, the following day.
April 22nd, so that's next week. Okay, so we will have, whoever we is, we'll have our meeting next month at the same time. And so again, for those who are dropping out, I'd like to say thank you, and we know what's next. Any other topics or questions or issues that you'd like to discuss?
Hey, Joe, are we gonna get a final report on the maintenance shed? Because I don't think he reapplied. Right?
He
Yeah,
did,
so yeah,
no,
yeah,
but
yeah,
Andrew
Bob,
was the other co-liaison to that.
yeah, so Bob,
I can wrap something up. Yeah, I can put something together. Great.
Okay. Just, well, yeah, because you're not,
Yeah, but I'll get it. I'll
Yeah.
turn over everything.
yeah,
See that.
so we can reassign it to whoever.
We'll put,
Yeah, 'cause-
we'll put liaison assignments on the agenda too, so you can shuffle up if you want to as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Bob, for those of you not aware, Bob's got some personal fun things on the coast, grandchildren that he visits significantly more. So he just would like to continue, but he's just not here during the week. So we'd like to thank him personally for his service and others. Okay, if there's no other topics, we can
Yeah,
close
just
the
some
meeting.
final comment for you, Joe, is thank you for leading us this year again. Appreciate it and a lot of good work. So thank you
Good, yeah.
for leading the ship.
Thank you. I hopefully will, I submitted my application today, so hopefully I'll be around next month.
Yeah.
Thank you all
going.
very, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
right.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your trip, Joe.
Pretty much